Hello Art 2 students. Today's video we are going to be talking about an introduction to oil pastels. So for this introduction, for our next sketchbook assignment, we are going to be completing something very similar to what you see here. We're going to be doing two separate things. One, we're going to be drawing a textured sphere using warm colors, and then we're also going to be completing a value scale using cool colors, and these are going to involve specific colors. We're going to get yours looking fairly consistent with what I have here, just as a practice to familiarize yourself with the techniques and process of making a drawing using oil pastels. Now, for this, we're going to start with the value scale here, and you can see the colors that are being used, and these are from the set of pastels that you have. And so I've already been using mine, so mine are a little worn down a bit, but you're going, for this value scale, you're going to need white, light blue, dark blue, violet or purple, and black. So this doesn't have to be organized in any particular way. You saw in my other example that I had the value scale at the bottom and the sphere at the top. There's no reason you couldn't do it the other way, and I think that for this example, I'm just going to do it across the top. It doesn't have to be real neat and organized. I just want you to practice using the materials. The thing about this value scale that we're going to be doing is we want smooth, even value on the surface without any noticeable texture. So you're going to have to work to smooth it out as much as possible for this part. Now, you'll notice that what we're working on is a raw canvas panel, meaning that it's just the canvas. There's no primer on the surface of this. This will allow the oil pastels to soak into the canvas really well. Now, what you are going to receive is going to be two-sided. It's going to have the primed gesso-coated side on one side and the raw canvas on the other. Make sure that you are putting this on the raw canvas side and not the gessoed side, because this is not going to allow the oil pastels to adhere as well. So this is going to be the better surface to use for this. So start with the white, and you're just going to block out an area, maybe an inch or two or at a time, not about this much area. And the goal is to go over it enough times and with enough consistency that you have completely covered all of the canvas. And you're also going to go just a little bit past where you maybe think the box is going to end at. There's going to be 6 values going across, so make sure you don't make it so wide that you don't leave yourself enough room. You want each one to be about the same. And I'm just going to set this one up here at the top just as reference. Now, from here, oh, there's one more color I'm going to need. I almost forgot, is the gray, which I've got right here. So that's going to be coming up next, and I'm going to start that the same way. I'm just going to put it right next to that white, but I'm actually going to apply some light pressure to kind of blend in between just a little. Then I'm going to go about that far and just press it in nice and dark. Then light blue. Again, making sure that I get all of the canvas 100% covered, so there's no speckles or spots within the color. You can also go over that with the gray a bit more and just kind of blend and smooth the edges in between. Next, the darker blue. Now I'm going to need to peel my paper back a little bit, and you may find you have to do this every now and again as you're working. You may have to break those sticks just to get you some smaller pieces, and you'll just have to kind of do that as you go along. Now, for this 5th color, the purple you'll find is not really going to be any darker than the blue. So in order to get it looking darker like this example here, it's actually going to be a mixed color. So this one, instead of just a solid color, is going to be a mix of the purple and the blue. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a light layer, allowing some of the canvas to show through with the purple. And then I'm going to go in with the dark blue and go back over the top of that. Again, not trying to cover it completely just yet. And go like that. Then I'm going to go back in a third time with the purple. And I'm going to really start to press this time and try to blend this all together. And this is when I really want to make sure that the canvas is consistently covered. And I can go back in a little bit more with the blue if I want to. I just want to keep going over it until it feels pretty consistent and nice and darker than the blue before that. Then finally, we're going to end this with the black. Again, I'm going to overlap a little bit of the purple here, and then just work my way down. Peel my paper back some. They will break sometimes. That's okay. They're not ruined. Just keep going. Sometimes you got to work with smaller pieces, and that's all right. Okay, now if I choose, I can also use a blending tool to smooth this out a little bit in places, maybe do a little bit of extra blending around the edges in between colors and things like that, just to kind of give it a more even look. If you do that, I started down here, but it's actually better to start at the lighter end because you don't want to get those dark muddy colors mixed in with your light tones. So start here and work your way down if you're going to do that. And you notice a lot of these little bits of oil pastel. It's a good idea to dust those off in a garbage can before going forward because those can kind of mess up other things that you're going to be working on in the process. Now, after you've done your value scale and you're satisfied with it, like I said, that didn't take long. It's pretty easy. Then you're going to go into the sphere. Now, the sphere is going to be a little bit different. When we're doing the value scale, it's all about getting a smooth, even appearance with the colors. But here it's all about texture. So we're going to be using stippling very heavily in order to get results like this. So one of the things that's going to be important is I want a consistent circle, and that circle needs to be somewhere between 4 and 5 inches in diameter. I don't want it any smaller or any bigger than that, so find something within that window. You could do that freehand if you remember the technique of using your ruler to measure out and draw a circle from Art 1, but the easiest way is just going to be to get some kind of stencil to use to draw that circle. So here I have a funnel with a diameter that's somewhere between 4 and 5 inches, so this is going to be perfect for what I'm doing. And I'm going to start by just placing that on there and using just a standard drawing pencil. And I'm just going to get this kind of centered in the lower part of this below the value scale. I'm just going to very lightly, don't want to make this too dark, just want to very lightly mark out a circle like that. And then I also want to just very lightly, somewhere near the middle of the circle or a little bit lower, draw a sort of a horizon line. Imagine it's like sitting on a table up against a wall, and that'll give you some nice shading effects. So for this, you're going to be using any of the warm spectrum colors. So I've got yellow, peach, golden, pink, orange, red, light brown, dark brown. And I'm going to end up using every single one of those. I'm also going to end up using black and white again at some point. Now, when it comes to doing this, the best way to be successful is to start light and work your way up to dark. Don't start out with the dark values because they will overpower the light values. So all I'm going to do is I want this to have sort of a three-dimensional appearance. So I'm going to start with this yellow. I'm going to just start right at the edge. And again, if it makes a little mess on the canvas, that's okay. Oil pastels are meant to be a bit textured, so it doesn't really matter if you get other colors sort of muddying in there. You can layer them and build them up and sort of address that as you go along. So I'm just sort of focusing on putting this down on the upper corner area over here. And I want it to be kind of rounded, so I'm trying to curve the edge where the yellow stops in order to make the sphere look rounded. Now, From there, I'm going to go to the golden color, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm not really, this is not the final step. I'm just sort of blocking out the range of colors to start out, and then I'm going to go back in and refine as I go along. So I'm going to go ahead and do that with each of the colors. Now I'm going to go with white, and I'm going to highlight up in here to lighten up the yellow place. Not right at the edge. I want it to kind of like have sort of a glow spot. So like the light's coming in, sort of a three-dimensional angle toward the sphere. And then I'm also going to focus on the background, but I'll do that after I get the sphere done because I want to shade the background to complement what's going on with the sphere. I'm going to use the black around the bottom edge to really get some nice shadows at the bottom. Now, I've got a very loose amount of texture on here. By the time I get it done, like the example here though, I want it to be very dense, filled in. I shouldn't be able to see any of the canvas underneath the sphere. That's my goal. So I'm going to continue building this in. I'm going back in with the yellow, then I'm going to just start layering these colors. And what I'm going to do is I want to stipple for texture. So when I say stipple, I mean I'm tapping on the surface with the colors. I'm physically hitting the surface with the pastel, so I'm making little dots on the surface rather than just trying to color it in real solid. This gives me a nice sort of textured appearance that just gives it a more energetic feel, and that's what I want to see on yours. The style and approach that you do on this, everybody's a little different. Yours might not look exactly like mine, but the point is that you want it to look textured. Don't try to smooth everything out perfectly. And it's okay for the colors to kind of migrate out of where you put them down originally. So this red's kind of going up a little bit and things like that. So you're going to see me just, I'm going to go through this a little bit in sort of a time lapse, and you're going to see me building up layers and layers of texture and just keep refining this until it looks the way that I want. Now, colors like this peach is sort of neutral, and it's a good color to kind of help blend some of this together, especially as you get further along and you're trying to soften it a little bit, trying to hide some of those canvas marks. You can use that to kind of smooth that out. And, you know, it doesn't have to all be one color. I like to, you know, vary it up. Even use colors that maybe don't seem like they belong, because it just adds a lot of variety to it. And the more colors that you use, the more the texture is going to show through. So don't be afraid to have lots of color variety as you're doing this. Now again, just like with the value scale, you can use a blending stump to kind of blend some of this together and try to smooth it out a little bit, but just don't overdo the smoothing, because remember, you want the texture in this. But this can be a good way, if you see little spots of canvas, you can kind of buff those out and kind of push that pastel down into that surface and really get it nice and smooth. Just remember, start light and work to dark, because if you start with the darker values, you're going to pick up these blacks and dark browns and get it into your yellow, and it's just going to make it get a little muddy. So you want to maintain these rich, bright, vibrant colors up here, then just start with the light and slowly work your way down. And if you have to, clean it off real good, wipe it off on a paper towel, or flip it to the other side whenever you're doing those darker values. Okay, so I like the way that looks as my sphere. So the next step is going to be to add in the background elements. Now the process is the same, so I'm not going to demonstrate this in this video. I'm just going to show you the finished product that I have here. Kind of show you that I have a shadow being cast, because again, the light's coming from this direction, so it's creating a shadow underneath the sphere here. So you'll give a more three-dimensional look if you put that shadow sort of opposite from where the light source is coming from. You also want it to kind of look a little faded. It doesn't have to be extremely sharp. I've kind of blended it and blurred it a little bit. And I've also got some shadows near the edge of this line going here and kind of fading up into the background and fading out. Notice I don't have any hard lines on here in terms of where this design finishes and stops. It's just sort of a practice run. It's just a way of familiarizing yourself with the materials and getting used to using oil pastel. So it doesn't have to be completely concrete, and it should look very textured. And that's your goal with this, is just to kind of get familiar with the process. Even though both of these spheres look a little different, they have the same nice, really textured quality, and that's what I want to see in your work. Good luck, and have a good day.